It means a lot because when I first came here in 1960, the black people were not allowed to go on the strip. They were not allowed to do lots of things, but I've been working on it. So I'm just grateful for Martin Luther King Jr.
And a legacy that continues to live on. And tonight we show you that Dr. King's legacy goes far beyond just being a man who tried to unify our country. Words from a man of change that we continue to strive for every day.
That my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
For many people, when they think of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., they think of his I Have a Dream speech and his impact on the civil rights movement.
A person who pushed for civil rights, led a movement, had a very radical practice of nonviolence.
However, Tyler Parry, assistant professor of African American and African diaspora studies at UNLV, says Dr. King never wavered in bringing change.
I feel like his greatest impact was his unwillingness to bend when it came to inequality, particularly even after laws were changed in 1964, 1965. King still detected correctly that African Americans were not making the advances that would have been promised by these legal changes.
Following Rosa Parks' refusal to move to the back of the bus in 1955, activists formed the Montgomery Improvement Association to boycott the transit system. They would choose King as their leader. That would just be the start. In 1960, he became co-pastor with his father at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. It was there where he came to the forefront with his practice of nonviolence, protesting injustice and segregation.
I tried day in and day out to live with this basic point in the nonviolent discipline. I say over and over again to people that we must never allow anyone to pull us so low as to make us hate them.
For Professor Parry, one speech, aside from I Have a Dream, resonated in a big way.
I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
It's basically him, channeling this symbolism through the Old Testament of Moses, leading the people to the promised land, but not actually getting there with them. And I think that speech is probably his most haunting, because I believe it's the last speech he gave before he was assassinated.
From the mid-50s until his assassination in 1968, King would lead the historic civil rights movement. Dr. King's impact could also be felt right here in Las Vegas, from MLK Boulevard to the annual parade, and even the MLK statue off Cary Avenue in North Las Vegas. The activist even making his way to the Valley in 1964 to speak with people here.
He gave one speech, and then I believe he attended a banquet later that day. So he was actually very aware of the local civil rights movement that had occurred here.
As we continue to honor Dr. King, we continue to try to make his dream a reality.
Obviously, I think we live in a more harmonious and cohesive society than King knew as he was growing up in the Deep South. But yes, there's still quite a bit to be done. And I think that King, having talked about that in the late 1960s, means that carrying on his legacy demands that we address that as well.